Today, we are excited to have Opal Fuels co-CEO John Maurer with us today. Thank you so much for joining us today, John.
Thank you. I'm really pleased to be here and excited about sharing our business with you.
Yeah, Opal Fuels is an interesting industry, one that's been growing quite a bit, and that's really all about renewable fuels, right?
Yes. What we do is we collect biofuels, naturally occurring biofuel, principally at landfills, but it can be done with dairy manure or it can be done with wastewater and other agricultural products as well. We then upgrade that gas, which is maybe 50% methane, to a full methane product, just like your fossil natural gas that is transported in the pipeline. We'll put that into the pipeline system, and then that's our upstream business. On the downstream side, we build CNG fueling stations. So we take the gas we generate out of the pipeline and we use it to fuel heavy duty trucks that run on CNG instead of on diesel. So it's this kind of virtuous circle, like many of our clients who fuel on CNG or renewable natural gas are garbage trucks. And so the garbage trucks go around and collect the trash, deposit it in the landfills, creates the biogas that we collect. We upgrade it to a pure RNG product, and then we put it back into vehicles at stations that we build and operate across the country.
Yeah, that's a great little circle of life of really truly being renewable and trying to help uh, have less of a footprint as a company. I love that. You mentioned one of your customers, and that's garbage trucks and those companies, but you have some other really big name clients out there that use
Sure.
your services.
So on the upstream side of our business, our partners are landfill owners like Republic Services or GFL Environmental, some municipal landfills like New River Solid Waste Authority or Polk County down in Florida or Prince William County in Virginia and other places. So we have private companies and municipal counterparties who we work with on producing this gas. We put it into pipelines, so we work with large pipeline companies as well. And then on the downstream side, when we fuel, one of our largest customers is UPS. And we also, UPS has converted a very large part of their heavy duty fleet to renewable natural gas. And they're saving substantial amounts of money by using this renewable natural gas. Interestingly, it's a low carbon product that is less expensive than diesel. So they're saving money and saving carbon as well. So it's really a win win for them. And typical customers would be a fleet of trucks that return to base. And when I say heavy duty or class 8, I'm talking about like semi trucks or large garbage trucks or cement mixers or other heavy duty equipment that it's really not practical to put batteries onto these vehicles. Batteries are very heavy. And so you would add to the weight of these trucks, which might either limit their payload or limit their range depending on the total weight. In the US, we have weight restrictions on our roads. And so this is really a technology that's available to decarbonize heavy duty trucking today. And it's not, the other technologies like battery or hydrogen are really not available today. So this is really a great solution for heavy duty trucking companies and is a great use for the biogas that comes from landfills and other waste.
Yeah, I want to talk about this option for companies. I know you mentioned several large companies like UPS are already converting a large portion of their fleet into RNG renewable gases, like you sell. Let's talk about how much more room for growth is there. Where are we at in that adoption stage of kind of switching over fleets to this kind of fuel?
Well, there's a substantial growth right now in the renewable natural gas production. And there's a little bit of let's say, a slower growth in the adoption on the fleet side because there's a conversion now from a medium heavy duty engine, a 12-liter engine produced by Cummins, who is the only manufacturer in the US for CNG engines for heavy duty trucks to a new 15-liter truck engine, I should say, which will be competitive with the most heavy duty diesel engines out there. So as the fleet starts converting over and adopting the 15-liter, I think we'll see the curve bend back upwards. We think that there's probably 40 billion gallons of diesel fuel and other fuels utilized in heavy duty trucking. And we generate around a billion gallons or so. So we're a little bit less than 2% or 1%, 1.5%, somewhere in there. And so we think that that could grow to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8x, but it'll take a lot of adoption for it to grow that way. And it'll take growth on the upstream side, landfills, manure waste, other agricultural waste, wastewater, all going into this renewable natural gas product.
Talk about some factors, whether it's in the economy or regulatory issues, that might help factor into that adoption of more of these kinds of fuels.
This whole renewable fuel industry was created in 2005, 2006 with the Renewable Fuel Standard. Congress passed a law at that time that mandated the use of these renewable fuels. We're familiar with ethanol when we go to fuel our gas tanks on our cars at home. And ethanol, made from corn principally, is one of those renewable fuels. There's other renewable fuels like renewable diesel that's made from soybeans and other fats, oils, and greases. And then we have our version of it, which is called cellulosic, one of the highest value because it really is a non-food crop, this waste uh, in place, whether it's from manure or whether it's from the landfills, et cetera, that creates this gas.
Very interesting. Well, let's talk about your company a little bit more. When did you get into the renewable fuel scene?
Bridget, I've been doing this for 35 years.
Wow.
And I would say we started in the mid 90s. And back then, it was purely taking the gas from landfills and using them in engines to create electricity. We still have, as a company, 15 projects that create renewable electricity. You were talking a little bit about policy before. We think one policy that could really help adoption is for the EPA to finalize rules on using renewable electricity from landfill gas to power electric vehicles. So instead of creating gas that goes into a pipeline to fuel a truck, we create electricity from the same landfill gas, put it out over a power line, and use that in vehicles. You know, the amount of electricity that electric vehicles use is tracked by all of the OEM manufacturers of these cars. And so the pathway is set up and ready to go. And we think that the EPA could really promote adoption through that mechanism. Interestingly, you know, landfills create this methane gas, which is very harmful to the environment if not collected and burned. Larger landfills are required by the EPA to collect that gas and destroy it, whether they destroy it just by burning it or making electricity or making renewable natural gas. You know, is up to the landfills to do, but it's being destroyed at the larger landfills. Smaller landfills are not necessarily destroying this gas or using it economically because it costs a lot of money to put that infrastructure in place. Right now, electric prices don't really promote creating small electric projects, but if the EPA was to put in place this renewable electric pathway called ERINs, then that would really increase the amount of landfills that could be utilized in this manner.
Very interesting. You obviously know so much about this industry. You've been in it for 35 years. Let's just go into some details about this stock and how long you've been a public company and where your stock is right now.
We went public about 2.5 years ago in July of 2022. And at that time, you know, we were putting projects in place kind of one at a time, and we were looking to supercharge our growth. Today, we have 11 projects in operation, another 6 in construction, and a good, healthy pipeline of additional opportunities that we're developing. So we see a lot of growth. We've been guiding the market to 2 million MMBTUs per year of additional capacity. We'll have right now somewhere around 9 million MMBTUs of capacity and adding 2 million a year. We combined kind of that renewable electricity business, the RNG fuel business, and the downstream fueling infrastructure business into a single entity and launched that as Opal Fuels. We're traded on the NASDAQ, and we look for opportunities to continue to grow this business and our investor base as well. Excited about where we are, excited about where we're headed. I personally believe we're a very cheap stock given the amount of gas that we have and the amount of growth that we have. But it's for investors to determine for themselves, obviously.
Yeah, I think analysts right now are especially bullish on oil and gas as an industry as a whole, seeing a lot of growth in the future. Do you see some of that growth, and are you expecting that as a company preparing for just more demand in this overall industry?
Because you can get the carbon reduction on the fleet side at a discount to diesel, it's a win-win scenario for trucking companies that have significant volumes of fuel. And so we do see increased adoption, particularly with this new engine that Cummins is now starting to sell, the 15-liter engine. So we see growth there. On the upstream side, I think all the landfill owners now understand the inherent value of this biogas that they have. The biogas is a naturally occurring gas from waste in place that is going to generate energy, and it's just a matter of how you capture and utilize that energy. So, yeah, we see a lot of growth. Opal Fuels has been probably growing as fast as any company out there. Some of our competitors that are doing this are BP has a number of projects that they're building, and Waste Management is a company who develop most of their projects internally themselves. GFL, our partner, is a 50-50 owner of the projects that we develop with them. So they're getting both the value into their garbage trucks as well as coming out of their landfills. Republic Services, as in the past, just entered into contracts to give the biofuels or sell the biofuel to developers such as Opal. So you have different models across the board of companies that own generation of RNG and dispensing, like Waste Management, people who are 50-50, like GFL, or 0-100 on the opposite side of the spectrum with Republic Services. Almost all of the municipal counterparties who do this really just enter into a contract to sell the biogas and then look for the private developer to be a long-term partner. These projects have very long-term lives to them. They involve no real unproven technology. So the technology that we utilize on the upstream side is really pumps, compressors, and blowers, standard technology used across American and world industries. And then we push the gas through a membrane that physically separates the CO2 from the methane product. So it's a very straightforward technology. On the downstream side, again, all we're doing is compressing gas into a fuel tank. So again, compressors is our main technology. So we have about 350 people as a company, divided into our upstream renewable natural gas development, construction, and operations, our downstream fueling infrastructure, construction, and service, We have over 70 service personnel servicing stations across the country every day. And then our, um, call it headquarters finance and other staff uh, kind of rounds out that 350 figure.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for the breakdown on your company today, John. It's something I think our investors will be interested in learning about. We are providing the link if you want to follow this stock and learn more about the company right here on this channel as well. Thanks again for your time today, John. And thank you, everyone, for joining us here on Market Beat. As always, happy investing.